Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Mini Sky Tonight. And happy Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. So I'm a bit of a nerd, as you kind of can tell. I enjoy Star Wars and Star Trek. So today, on this unique type of holiday, I wanted to discuss about the science of Star Wars. Now, something to keep in mind, Star Wars is a space opera, and some of its science is far-flung, meaning that the chances of it actually coming true is not possible. However, there's some aspects of Star Wars that either scientists discovered later and or inspired them to create such devices. So let's look at some of those unique different types of things. But believe it or not, I actually did another video that talked about some of the technology of Star Trek. If you want to check out some of the technology that we use today that was inspired by watching the episodes of Star Trek, I'll put a link up here and you can check out different aspects like how we use smartphones and communicators and so many other devices that we thought back in the 1960s were not even possible, but are now science fact today. So let's kind of dive into some of the things that actually were discovered and or inspired by Star Wars. So number one, a double sunrise. So you have the iconic scene from A New Hope to where Luke Skywalker steps out from his farm, looks off into the horizon and sees two suns setting on the horizon. Now, back in the day, many people didn't think that this could be possible, that you could have two suns orbiting a planet and still be sustainable. But believe it or not, this is not too far off from reality. Many stars in our galaxy are double or multiple star systems. So could it be possible that you could have a planet orbiting around two stars? Well, it turns out you can, depending upon a particular type of orbit. A group of scientists were able to get together to figure out where certain quote unquote Lagrange points, or certain points where gravity is balanced, like gravitational pulls between the two stars is balanced to where you could have an object in that point. And in this T-type phase, you can have two different particular points to where you can have a planet, but yet still see two stars. So it is possible you could have two sunrises and two sunsets, or different stars basically rising and setting at certain periods of time. So you could have a planet like Tatooine. Number two, droids are not too far away. Now, droids being short for android is possible. You have the famous iconic duo of C-3PO and R2-D2 there, as well as the new member of the droid family in the Star Wars universe of BB-8, which are the iconic heroes that help save the day and have a wide variety of different tools and things and are able to interact with humans. But believe it or not, we're not too far off with having some of these different types of androids in our own life. For example, you have the house robot Pepper. And just seeing the face of Pepper just kind of reminded me close to C-3PO. And it's a unique type of robot that is able to interact with you. It's supposed to be a house robot. It helps you with your schedule, kind of like Hey Google or Hey Siri or things of that nature. Its eyes have cameras so that way it can detect like facial expressions or emotions from you and do appropriate responses. They also have deployed Pepper and another type of robot named Connie as concierges in different hotels. So you can have robots that basically help you with food orders, that can help you with finding and locating your room and basically giving you directions and so much more. And it's just these tiny little robots. And some of their legs are very similar to that of some of the androids in Star Wars. So it is quite possible. And you can also have different types of robots that do different types of things. I can remember looking at the original Star Wars 4 through 6 and seeing all these different robots doing different types of jobs. And one particular robot that NASA is working on right now is called Valkyrie. because it's supposed to act as a rescue type of robot. So say, for example, you have astronauts on Mars and they're out doing some research on the field, and then something goes wrong with an astronaut suit. Valkyrie would then be deployed at the call of a button, and the android would make its way to help stabilize the astronaut until help could arrive and or provide assistance as needed. So it is possible that you could have a wide variety of different droids here on Earth soon. Number 3, Mustafar could be an actual planet. So you have in Star Wars Episode 3, where you have the iconic duo of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker jumping from bot to bot over this river of lava, and they're duking it out because they're mad with each other, and they're surrounded by molten lava everywhere. And it's like this hellish kind of a planet, but it's Mustafar is supposed to be like a mining facility. So could you have a planet that is surrounded by molten lava for a good portion of time? Well, it turns out you can. Allow me to introduce to you Corot 7b. It's a unique type of planet that was found by a French group of astronomers, and it's around a star known as Corot 7. It's a yellow dwarf star. It's roughly about 489 light years away from us in the constellation Monoceros. And they were able to detect planets around this particular star using a technique known as light curve detection. Basically, stars shine for the most part with a steady light. And so by looking at the light curve, how much light is produced over a course of time, it should be close to a steady straight line. But in the particular case of Corot, they noticed that it would have small dips in its light curve, as though if something was blocking this particular star, and those blocks came at regular intervals. That told astronomers that there was a planet around this particular star. And one of them that they discovered was Corot 7b. And it's really close to its star. In fact, 1 year on Corot 7 is 20 hours. So it orbits really close to its star. So, I mean, the fact that we have Mercury being so close to the sun and it has a orbit of 88 days, imagine having an orbit of 20 hours. It's really close to its star. And since it's so close to its star, it's tidally locked, meaning one side of the planet always faces the star. So since it's so close and it faces its star, one side completely, the one side could be completely molten. And on the fringes near the edges of the planet that are facing away, you can still have that molten material still reaching out around towards the edge and starting to cool off on the nighttime side. So it's possible that you could have close to a molten type of planet. So imagine like on Corot 7, if it was Mustafar, that you basically have the mining facility on the nighttime side, and then all the miners go towards the edges away from the sun, but not on the sun side itself because it's ridiculously hot. So you could have that kind of a planet. Number 4, Hoth also could be an actual planet. And this what blew my mind because I didn't think it could be possible, but there was a planet that was discovered not too long ago that could resemble the planet Hoth from Star Wars. In fact, many of the astronomers that discovered it, even though it has a long designation name, they've been nicknaming it Hoth because of where it's located and because of how far away it is from its star. Here's the long name of this particular planet. Yeah, it represents the mission that discovered it, as well as the year it was discovered in, and all the different aspects of this particular planet. It means nothing, but it's been nicknamed Hoth because it orbits a red dwarf star. And it's roughly about 3,000 light years away from us in the constellation Scorpius. And it orbits so far away from its star that 1 year on this planet is roughly 10 years on Earth. So that would be like just a little bit beyond just a little bit before the orbit of Jupiter, or a little after. So it's around about the orbit of Jupiter. So it's relatively far away from its planet, but even still, it's at a distance away from a red dwarf star that is really cold. So imagine a rocky planet that's roughly about 5 times the mass of Earth, and it's so far away that all the atmosphere is starting to freeze. So you could have an ice ball of a planet. So Hoth could exist. Number 5, proton torpedoes. So in episode 4, you have Luke Skywalker saving the day by shooting 2 proton torpedoes down the shaft of the Death Star to blow it up. So could it be possible you have quote unquote protons as a weapon of some kind? In a way, yes, and another no, but not in the way you think, not in the terms of military. It's actually in the terms of medicine. The Pan-European OMA project is taking protons in a different way. So rather than having a person with cancer having to go through chemo radiation treatments, like basically injecting nasty chemicals into their body or having to do radiation treatments over a large general area, they're able to send protons specifically in the targeted area. So they would send like basically a laser beam about 2 centimeters in diameter, or they could adjust the diameter depending upon the size of the cancer tumor. And they basically would target the area of the cancer. So instead of having so much cancer treatments that have caused other problems for patients, like with chemo radiation, to where the person loses their hair, they start becoming sick and everything. So it's, instead of having to worry about those side effects, it can specifically target the problem and get rid of it. So instead of destroying a menace of all the planets, it's destroying the menace of all humanity, cancer. So I honestly thought that was really cool, that it was a cool tie-in that they use protons to basically help save humanity in a unique way. Number 6, lightsabers. Yes, they are the iconic weapon of the Jedi, that you have to talk about lightsabers. Now, keep in mind, these are not lightsabers. It's not just a beam of light, because light doesn't clash like you hear the iconic whooshing of the lightsaber, and or you don't have them clash and hit one another like a sword. In fact, they're sometimes referred to as plasma swords, to where basically it creates this beam of quote unquote plasma that can extend so far out. Problem is you can't quite create a beam of plasma that ends at a certain point, but you can create a beam of plasma by a different means. Laser accelerators into plasma fields. Now, take a note of how long this laser accelerator is. So what they are doing is basically taking a laser and intensifying its power and shining it through a plasma field, to which then creates a wave, and are able to create these chunks of plasma waves in a certain medium. So you could have a quote unquote lightsaber, but try hauling that around. Number 7, bionic limbs. We are getting there. So you obviously see the famous scene to where poor Luke Skywalker loses his hand to Darth Vader, and he has to have a bionic replacement. And you get to see where the medical droid is touching up and things of that nature to see if it would still work. The fact that you could have a hand that is bionic, but yet functions like a normal hand. We are getting there. We are very close. For many kids that are either born with certain birth defects and or have lost their arms for a certain reason, they have created different types of bionic hands that people can still interact with and use with. And of course, the nerd in me thought it was super cool that this one poor kid asked for a bionic arm that looked like Tony Stark's Iron Man suit. And that was what he specifically requested for his birthday. And they were able to get a hold of Robert Downey Jr. to present it to him like as Tony Stark. So the nerd in me screamed and thought it was the coolest thing ever. So the fact that we have bionic arms that help people that desperately need them, we're on the cusp of being able to have replacement arms and limbs. So I honestly think that is super cool. So these are 7 unique things in Star Wars that is either inspired by science and or we have discovered that they were not too far off. If you have any questions or comments, leave it down in the comments below. If there's a topic you would love for me to cover over, leave it down in the comments as well. Also, if you have other things from the Star Wars universe that you would love for me to cover over, I'd be happy to cover over that as well. Just leave it down in the comments. And until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, never stop learning. May the 4th be with you.